So that's it then. Meghan Markle has sensationally shut up shop. After all the noise, all the pathetic plugging, all the please, please, please buy my wares desperation for Her Montecito Majesty's lamentable lifestyle site, as ever, there will be no happy ever after. Following virtually no sales at all, the dysfunctional Duchess has pretty much closed down her ailing business. Our hopeless heroine revealing in an extraordinary declaration that she's stepping back to figure out exactly what as ever could be. Isn't that the sort of thing she should have figured out before the launch? Nothing new is planned and there will be no items on sale, if at all, until at least early 2026, as in next year. Think about it. This is an astonishing admission that, as ever, the sad, simpering successor to her disastrous non-starter, American Riviera Orchard, has failed. A 24-carat catastrophe that, as a major moneymaker, was right up there with selling sand in the Sahara. Who knew that $14 for a jar of non-jam fruit spread, $28 for honey and 12 greenbacks for a packet of tea wouldn't be a smash hit with millions of consumers who can buy superior, far cheaper products at their local corner store? Yeah, who knew? Well, since you ask, everyone except the dim Duchess, whose fractured relationship with the real world grows ever more distant by the day. Her food having flopped, Meghan now says she might start flogging clothes. In an interview to promote the final dreary episode of her epically dull podcast series, Confessions of a Female Founder, the self-styled Queen of California said that if she had to write a resume, she wouldn't know what to call herself. I can think of a few things, but let's keep it clean. How about accomplished social mountaineer who climbed the wrong ladder, or skillful royal hanger-on, or internationally renowned greatest mother who ever lived? How about you? What should Mrs. Sussex put on her CV? Answers on a postcard, please. Here she is again, spewing her strange semi-English gobbledygook. I think it speaks to this chapter many of us find ourselves in, where none of us are one note. But I believe all the notes I am playing are part of the same song. What the hell does that even mean? Does she know? Because damned if I do. Do you? Answers on a postcard, please. Meanwhile, we're told that there might be a third series of Netflix's Unwatchable with Love Meghan. That would be after the second series that's coming to the screen by unpopular demand in September. Frankly, I'll believe this unlikely recommission when I see it. But poor Meg better hope it's true, because as her toweringly tedious Confessions of a Female Founder grinds to a halt amid global apathy, the wannabe billionaire tycoon hasn't got a whole lot else going on. Credit to the ambitious Miss Markle for her undoubted tenaciousness. In her manic pursuit of soaraway success, she has tried and tried and tried. Sadly, she has failed and failed and failed. With whatever harebrained scheme she has a go at next, we wish her the very best of luck. God knows she's going to need it. But what of that carrot top guy she's married to? What's his name again? That's it, Prince Harry. What on earth is he up to these days? Does anyone care? Not really, but he thinks he's important, so here's your vital update. Just as his estranged father Charles was in Canada on a triumphant state visit, old Gingernuts headed east for his first ever trip to China, yet again enraging the British royals with another blatant attempt to upstage the king by grabbing a few headlines. The dreaded Duke didn't really succeed in that mission because all he was doing was making a pompous climate change speech on behalf of Travelist, the eco-travel company he allegedly co-founded. Hapless Harry's puffed-up oratory was the usual life-sapping cocktail of clapped-out cliches and boring buzzwords of no interest to sentient adults whatsoever. That's it. But since the caring, sharing prince is so passionate about saving the planet through the prism of environmentally friendly travel, how did he actually get to Shanghai? First class on an Earth-destroying passenger plane? A private jet? Or an oh-so-green sailing boat? If it wasn't the yacht, and let's face it, that's fairly improbable, then we have to ask the question, is Harry an industrial-scale hypocrite? You might think so. I couldn't possibly comment. I mean, Samara, what is he doing? But let's talk about Meghan first. I mean, this is stunning. Suddenly, almost offhandedly, she goes, oh, you know that as ever. You know the thing I've been working on for 2 years. I changed the name in a hurry about 3 months ago, and I've put out all these products, the jam and the honey and the edible flowers and the tea, all in the packaging is so important, and I'm obsessed with it, and you got to buy it. And then nobody really did buy it. After all that, she suddenly announces this week, by the way, I'm not doing that anymore. That's over. It's extraordinary.
I know, none of this has been thought through. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. I mean, she really is a pathetic woman who has absolutely no idea what is going on around her, because how does that podcast now even work out? Confessions of a Female Founder. She's not really a founder anymore if she's shutting up shop for as ever. I mean, this has been really, really painful to watch. She's had American Riviera Orchard. That didn't work out. Then rebranded it as Ever. Then that didn't work out. What is next? I really, really question where to go for this couple.
As I said, Andrew, she's still. This is, as we speak, the final week of an absolutely disastrous podcast series, Confessions of a Female Founder, which is just a cure for insomnia. Fell out of the top 100 in about 4 seconds.
Yes.
And has never been anywhere near it since. If that gets recommissioned, I'm a Chinaman. Harry, if you're listening, perhaps you met a few on your trip to Shanghai, your first ever trip. But seriously, she hasn't got anything left.
Well, this
now,
is the problem,
as ever, gone. Confessions of a Founder, gone. And I don't believe that With Love, Meghan will be commissioned for a third series. The first series didn't do very well. The second series is only going on in September because they filmed it at the same time as the first. Hasn't achieved very good viewing figures at all. So, on the basis that I'm probably right, no third series. She's got nothing going on.
You're absolutely, as you said in your brilliant monologue, it's a whole word salad, isn't it? And you have sort of, with love from Meghan will become we loathe Meghan. You turn around and say that Confessions of a Female Founder will be Confessions of a Female Flounder she is now. And as ever,
that's a fish.
As a fish.
Confessions of a Female Failure.
Fish.
Well, they're quite useful, those. I guess.
Actually, I'd listen to that. That sounds interesting. Confessions of a Female Fish.
Rock
Should have
on.
done that, Meghan. Should have done that.
And as ever becomes as never. This is what happens.
Yeah.
So, but I think what's happened is now Samara spent so much money on the produce bringing it here, she could retire. She doesn't need to sell any more stuff.
Well,
no,
that only cost Samara a lot of money because we had to ship it over from America. But even when you're in the States, and by the way, that seemed to me a flaw in the business plan. You couldn't buy it globally. You could only buy that stuff in America. But it was very expensive. And we tried it. We all tried it. And, as I say, in the interest of accuracy, Samara gagged. I just thought it was very...
She's such a ham,
I thought it was very average. I think you agreed with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and your baking skills really came to a fore, though. And you did it so beautifully. So all credit where credit's yours. I took a couple home. They're enjoyed at home as well. But
Did you?
I did.
They were liked, were they?
They were liked. So, and actually, the jam, it wasn't jam, was it? It was spread. It was a bit bitter.
Raspberry fruit.
I didn't
I don't think
dislike
it's bitter. I found it sort of rather sour, tart.
Tart. Who are you calling a tart?
As I say, it was not unpleasant. The cookies were not unpleasant. But the edible flowers tasted of straw. But what I said, I knew from the very moment I first tried that jam and the cookies. I knew. I said to you, didn't I? I said, this business is doomed. No one will buy this stuff for a second time.
Yeah.
They might buy it first time round for novelty value.
Yeah.
Who's going back for $14 for a jar of jam when, as I said in my monologue, you can pop next door to your corner store and get a really good jar of jam for a whole lot cheaper.
And we tried it, didn't we? We tried the Prince William one, which was fantastic.
Well, and that's a very successful business that they run, actually, the royal family. But if you actually look at the fine print, Netflix has walked away from her. So they're saying we don't want anything to do with it as ever. And she's very conveniently packaged it as Netflix and I have parted ways.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
No, they've redefined their relationship.
Well, they've redefined the relationship.
Regulations may vary.
As in, Netflix doesn't want to know her, she wants to know them.
Yes, absolutely.
Are Harry and her going to redefine their relationship soon? I don't know, because he's
think
up in
about
China.
that. Think about this. It wasn't so long ago
Yeah.
that the narrative, the discussion about what would happen to this strange pair of people there in Montecito, the gruesome twosome, was, will Netflix renew their $100 million contract? Now, it's almost funny to think of that now. I mean, clearly they're not getting that.
No.
If she gets anything, she'll get a few bucks for With Love Meghan, but I can't see them persevering with that. So she's got nothing on her plate. Nothing. Nothing, and he's got even less. What was he doing in China? What was that all about?
But it was hypocrisy. You cannot go over there and flying, as you rightly said in your wonderful monologue, and turning around and saying it's all about environment and this sort of stuff. Yeah. It is hypocrisy. He should have taken a bicycle there.
But it's so cheap looking at him getting flown over by a brand like a cheap influencer. It's just such a fall from grace.
Shanghai surprise. Here's Harry. I mean, but the speech he made, we'll play you a little bit of that in just a second. But it was just such a load of claptrap cliches about, it's time to save the planet. What does he care? He probably went there on a private jet. He either flew first class on a passenger jet or he went there on a private jet. So, as I said, you might think he's an industrial scale hypocrite, but I couldn't possibly comment. And now,
it's China, Harry. It's China. Are you going to get them to reduce their carbon footprint? Okay, good luck, mate.
But the other thing which you mentioned as well is that royals are never supposed to upstage the monarch. So you then turn round and he would never go on a trip. He deliberately did it. You work on that.
Of course he does now.
Grab the headlines.
That's because he hates his dad. He hates the royal family. He's doing it deliberately. Yeah. He used to do it even when he didn't quite hate them, even when Charles was talking to him. But it's now quite clearly a strategy on Harry's part. But he didn't grab any headlines. He didn't overshadow Charles's triumphant state visit to Canada because, frankly, people are running out of interest in this guy. They couldn't care less what he's doing in Shanghai. So, very, very troubled future, I think, for those two. But you've got some YouTube comments, I think, on our favourite married couple, our regal eagles.
I do. So Scooby-Doo says, Harry and Meghan have embarrassed the crown. I can't blame Charles and William for ignoring Harry and Meghan. Harry should be ashamed of himself.
I think that's representative of what a lot of people think. I mean, him positioning himself in China as some kind of, fantastic global philanthropist, who everybody admires. He's become a sort of sad figure. What I say about both of them, I think they both become sad figures. But I'm not a hypocrite, so I'm not going to pretend I'm not interested in them.
Yes.
I find their story, as viewers to this programme might have noticed, I find it kind of compelling. So we look forward to the next chapter with great interest. Any more comments?
Yes, Russell Davies has said, I blame Charles for allowing the courtship and then the wedding. Don't they do background checks? Already, Meghan should have been married and dumped her husband when he was no use to her. Charles was so nice to that woman. He walked her down the aisle when her dad didn't show up to her own wedding. I mean, I cannot believe she then goes and backstabs him to Oprah and says, oh, the family was racist, racism. No one racist would do that. I mean...
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic, apparently an American journalist called Shalon Lester has revealed on her podcast, which is called Juicy Scoop, that the royal staff leak stories about Meghan Markle to her at a great rate of knots. So apparently, according to Shalon Lester, I know, me neither, who is the host of Juicy Scoop, when Meghan was falling foul of the royals over here in Britain, all the staff were, hello, is that Shalon? Is that Shalon? Is that the Juicy Scoop podcast? I've got some news for you about Meghan. Anyway, that's what Shalon says, so who are we to disagree? Take it away.
Priorly, we'd always written about the royals. They're a huge seller.
Yeah.
And they were a very tight ship. The House of Windsor was a tight ship. There was no sources. There was no nothing. When Meghan got in there, leaky AF. Like, people were singing like a bird because she sucked. And it's the accounts we were getting, people are like, we are risking our job, our family's legacy. Like, the people who work in service at that level, it is truly like a calling. Like, it is, they're very proud of it. It's not just a job they take lightly. They're going to work in service for a lifetime. They're going to pass that down. And so for them to risk that, to share how awful this woman is.
And how was she awful? Like, give me some examples.
Yelling, ungrateful, rude. She came in there and it was this like, I'm a disruptor.
I like all that, but apparently if you go to Buckingham Palace now,
Yes.
on some of the older phones, Shalon Lester's number is still there on speed dial.
Oh, is that right? How
Apparently
funny.
the staff will just say, get off the phone, I want to speak to Shalon now. I want to give Shalon some information about Meghan. Shalon Lester, what a gal.
What a gal.
We got some more YouTube comments?
Yes, we do. If we can open my iPad. Meghan is overestimated, and she's overestimated her importance. And needy Harry doesn't have a clue yet. He was deprived of oxygen as a baby, ?
That's not factually
It's a
true,
low
folks, I
blow.
don't think. But it's funny. It could explain a lot, but carry on.
Diana would kick his pathetic, needy ass and tell him to grow the up. I don't even think I'm allowed to swear on this.
No, we can't say that.
Can't say that.
That will be,
beep.
edited out.
Edit it out.
Any more? Is that it for the comments, or have we got one more?
Jacinta said Meghan will leave poor Harry when she finds a fat bag of money. Harry will regret for what he has done, especially to the amazing Queen Elizabeth. It's kind of like what you said last week.
Yeah. What did I tell you? I tell you the next big story about those two. The narrative surrounding those two going forward will be financial. It'll all be about their money because they are living a billionaire lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably struggle to be millionaires soon. They're not bringing any money in. I mean, Harry's got some royal money. But they need millions and millions
absolutely.
to maintain
The
their
way
lifestyle.
that Meghan lives, yeah.
And Meghan, I still can't get over that this week she said, oh, that as ever thing, I've been going on for years.
Yes.
That's over. That's over. That old thing. What's she doing? She's still trying to figure out what as ever could be.
Yes.
I'll tell you what as ever could be, Meghan. Finished. Let's go to a bad ad.
I always played the lottery, but I never won. Then the psychic numerologist gave me my lucky numbers, and I won 3 times in 1 week. It was fantastic. I hit the 3-digit number 2 days in a row. Then I hit the 4-digit number that weekend. 3 winners in a week.
Call 1-800-532-0006 for information on how to speak with authentic psychic numerologists.
Do you know what your lucky numbers are? I do, and now I'm playing to win.
This call is free, adults only.
Samara, could you book me a first-class flight to Maryland? Because I'll have a go at that. If you can win the lottery, the Maryland lottery. This week, as if by magic, you'll like that.
Hey, I thank you.
By magic. I sat down here in this very studio with Elon Musk's father, with his dad, Errol Musk. We'll play you a few clips. So here's the first.
About 7 or 8 years ago, it was my 70th birthday. They came to Cape Town with about 50 Americans. And we had this big birthday party for me. And after the lunch, the one chap, his name was Favreau, John Favreau, he said to me, I believe you support Trump. This was just before the election in 2016.
Yeah.
And I said, yes. And everybody broke out into raucous laughter. And then when they finished laughing, he said, well, why do you support Trump? And I said, well, I think he's good. He's a businessman, much better than a career politician.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so forth. Or a career, bureaucrat. And and much better. And they all laughed their heads off. They said, no, he's a con man, he's a thief, he's a crook, he's this, he's that. And they all, you know...
Trump derangement syndrome.
They left me sitting there. And then after that, they all sort of... We had actually sequestered a whole block for that thing, you know. And they all went off to their private vans and stuff to go back to their hotels and stuff. And then Elon and Kimmel came and you know, sort of came down on me, you know, how could I be so stupid? Couldn't you say, I don't know, you know, don't you realise how you embarrassed us? Trump is evil.
They were saying that, yeah.
Yes, they were saying that. And well, Elon was saying that, and he's evil, and you know, you're also evil to
support him.
Well,
how has it gone so much full circle?
Well, you know,
what's his journey
they
since then?
experienced the Biden presidency. And when they experienced the Biden presidency, they realized that this group of people were out to destroy everything of value in the United States, including their own businesses.
And how would you define Elon's politics? Because it's all too easy to
centrist.
Say he's
terribly
right-wing.
Centrist.
And you were saying earlier, though, that I think, like yourself, he has a deep-seated hatred of apartheid.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a deep-seated hatred. I mean, he just doesn't like it. It's not
fair
normal.
enough.
but he's also very in favour of law and order and civilization, you know. Yeah. So it's not like, he's very centrist. I'm pretty centrist. I'm inclined to be, you know, before you're going to break something down, just make sure you've got something to replace it with first. That's called being conservative, you know. Yeah. So I'm a little conservative, you know. So before you smash down the factory, let's make sure we've got a new factory going before you
conservative with a small c. Yeah, I get that. So that was Errol telling the story of how his son Elon, when he was younger, he used to hate Trump. Really hated Trump, but we know that he kind of turned on a sixpence and changed his mind. But Errol himself is a very colourful character. He's got one hell of a backstory. And basically, I don't really know how to fill in the gaps here. He got his stepdaughter pregnant, so here he is telling that story. What's this I read about you had a daughter, or you had a kid with your stepdaughter? What's that story?
She was living with a man in a disused shopping centre storeroom, you know. Yeah. And
not great. Then, not
anyway,
great.
So I managed to provide food for them and toiletries I thought was important, and then I bought her proper clothes, and this went on for about a year and a half or so, and then one day she contacted me and said this boyfriend has thrown her out. So I said, well, you know, into the street. In the meantime, I'd provided her and the boyfriend with a car, second-hand car, and so I said, well, you better come here. So she came to stay with us for a while. She was with us for about 3 weeks or so, and we got on very well, you know, and then her and I, you know, she was like a fully grown, you know, woman of 30, you could say. Yeah. And so she left. Oh, then shortly after that, the boyfriend came crying and saying he wants her back and all that. And then he went, she said, okay, I'm going to give him a chance. And she went back, you know. And then a couple of months later, she came to see me and said, can I see you? I said, all right. And she came to see me and she said, I'm pregnant. So I said, well, it can't be me. You know, she said, well, it is you, because I'm not involved with this other chap at all. I just help him, you know. So I wasn't happy with that. I contacted places that can do tests on your blood of the mother and father, prenatal.
Right.
And this was in Canada. And so we sent them cryogenically the blood to do this prenatal test.
And it was yours?
Yes.
It was yours?
99.9%.
Oh dear. So...
he's 8 now. He was 8 on Saturday.
What did Elon make of all this?
Oh no, the boys, you know, they're their own, you know, sort of. They're pretty dashing themselves.
Well, yeah, actually, Elon's no slouch, is he?
And Kimmel.
He makes you look like an amateur.
No, they're pretty dashing
what
themselves.
What do you make of all these kids he keeps having?
No, it's wonderful, actually wonderful. You know, the only reason you shouldn't have children is, you know, if
you can't afford it.
You can't afford it.
Yeah,
yes,
and I think Elon can afford it. You got a stepdaughter.
Yeah.
You find her in a disused shopping centre with her boyfriend. You get her pregnant. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
Let's move on. This is Elon talking Errol talking about Elon's trans daughter. Well, of course, Elon had a son who now says he's a woman, you know. So one of those blokes who pretends they're a woman. And Elon is not at all happy about it. Elon, of course, said, I've lost a son due to the woke mind virus. Well, here is Errol commenting on this extraordinary situation. He or she or whatever you call him, he's on the front page of Vogue, the current issue of Vogue.
I didn't know that.
What do you feel about that? What do you think Elon feels about it? Because Elon has said, the woke mind virus stole my son.
Well, yes, that's what he said. So you have to listen to what he said. I'm, half inclined to agree with him in a way. But at the same time, you can't be too clever about these kind of things. So you have to try and, it's like all the difficult things in life, divorce, when you lose a child, for example, when you have this kind of thing happen, you have to try and absorb it and try and learn, try and see, try and understand. I've had women and men come to me over the years, maybe 3 times, to tell me, shaking and pale in the face, that their son is gay. And I've said, well, everybody sort of knew they were.
Get used to it.
And I said to them, no, it's nothing, And then as time went by, they absorbed the idea and they accepted everything,
Okay, I guess it's a bit different to somebody saying, well, your son's gay, to your son's a woman, or has decided.
Vivian's a real piece of work, that child of his that's turned transgender.
Yeah.
She's a nightmare. She's like, all she does is like rat out her father and
she
talk
really does,
disrespectfully
and she's
about
ratting him out on the front page of the current edition
Yes,
of Vogue, I do
correct.
believe, which is why I posed that question. Now, to continue with Errol's colourful life, it is extraordinary. Take it away, Errol.
I heard some noise in the lounge. I went up to the lounge, and without any weapon or anything, and there were 7 or 8, men in the lounge, and they just opened fire on me straight away.
Oh, God.
And then I ran. Luckily, they missed, and I ran back down the passage, got my, weapon, and then as they came down the passage, I took them out, 3 of them.
You took 3 of them out, and you were tried for that?
Yes, I was charged with murder. Or it was a sort of pre-trial or something like that with a magistrate. And the police helped me, the police woman and everything. They told me not to lose my temper and not to, say anything like clever or anything like that. And, at one point, the magistrate, who was a white man, he said to me, couldn't I have used less violence? And I said, well, they fired 52 shots at me, and I fired 2 shots. I don't think that's violence on my part,
How did you manage to kill 3 of them?
It's smart.
How did you kill 3 of them with 2 shots?
Well, it's a Magnum, so when you...
A Magnum, what, like in the Clint Eastwood films?
Yes.
The most powerful handgun in the...
Well, it's not the 45, it's a 375.
That's a pretty powerful gun, though.
357, right? I mean.
Yeah.
It's the 357. It's very powerful, yes, extremely powerful. And the noise from it is gross. And after the event, with their shooting and my shooting in a closed space, the police said to me, you're going to have hearing loss. And I said, oh, really? And as it happened, I lost hearing in my right ear.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because of that incident?
Yes. Because
so when you said about having a powerful gun and there were 3, so did one of the bullets go through one of them and into the other? Is that what happened? Good Lord. And you were tried and acquitted, presumably on the basis of self-defense?
Yeah, self-defense.
Self-defense.
Yes.
And you're protecting your 6-year-old daughter, so...
Yes, she was there. She saw the whole thing. I was just talking to her about it. She lives in Texas now. And she was saying to me, she remembers how we managed to escape. They shot the windows out, so we were able to climb out through shot windows, and we were able to hide in the grass outside, some shrubs and grass.
Yeah.
And she was telling me how she remembers how we lay in the grass and how they were searching for us while we were laying in the grass,
I'm not sure if this is the right way to put it, but I love that story about the Magnum. Of course, Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry, wasn't it? This is the most powerful, Magnum 500.
It is
the
extraordinary.
most powerful handgun in the world. The question is, do you feel lucky?
Yeah,
but so he had a slightly less powerful version of that, but still extremely strong power handgun, and he shot twice, killed 3 people.
It is quite extraordinary. I mean, he's an incredible man, Errol. I have him, I talk to him virtually every week, and he's very kindly invited me to Oxford Union tonight, where they're debating Africa must evict its colonial masters. So it's absolutely typical Oxford Union stuff. But it also shines a spotlight on life in South Africa, where you're daily under threat. You talk about this, and it's home invaders and those horror stories that you hear and that sort of stuff. So it was self-defence, and that's what they found out in that particular story.
Do you know what's interesting? I mean, obviously for Errol, and many people like him, he's a very successful businessman in his own right. He's got, he used to have interest in 3 emerald mines, and he's got this stud farm. He ran a kind of chemical engineering works as well. He actually once said he had so much money. In those days, you didn't really bank you didn't bank your money in South Africa. He said he had so much money, it was like coming out of cupboards in the house. So he was very successful. He was very successful in his own right. Elon, when he made the grade, said, right, come over and live in America. So he went over there with his wife and hated it. And went back, hated California, and went back to dangerous South Africa. So, you know, that proves there's no place like home. Let's go to a bad ad.
Something happened since I bumped into you. Oh, Duncan Hines put walnuts in a new cookie. Walnut chocolate chip. Take chocolatey bumps, add walnutty lumps. No wonder they bake up the lumpy, bumpy best. You don't know what you're missing. Bill Bailey! You came home. Look what I got for you. Duncan Hines, the chocolatey, walnutty, lumpy, bumpy best. Oh.
It's a cookie.
No, it's a
cookie. Don't get that worked up about it.
Meghan's business would have succeeded if she had a bit more lumpy pumpy, I can tell you.
That's not a bad thought, actually. Meghan, can I commend to you Duncan Hines? He knows how to do it. You, not so much. Let's go to break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to What Just Happened. This is part 3. Part 3, where we do the big moment. This, in fact.
3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked.
Yeah, this is the top stories of the week, or at least the stories that we found most interesting. We've got time for a couple. And the first one is something extraordinary that I think will resonate around the world. We try to pick stories that we think everyone will appreciate across the globe. And this is a 92-year-old man in Britain, amputee, he's got one leg. He's sitting in his care home. He's holding a very dangerous butter knife. It's about the size of my thumb. And here's 2 cops dealing with this guy.
Donald!
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Taser!
Oh, my God.
What?
Yeah, so what they did, you missed it. You can't quite see the full chronology there. So he's 92.
Oh, my God.
He's got one leg. Were they worried he was going to hop away or something? He wouldn't give them the knife. It's a knife that you could probably do that and it wouldn't even puncture your skin. He was shouting away. He's probably a difficult, cantankerous old boy. But my God, one leg. There he is in his care home room, and they beat him up with their truncheon, their baton. What you don't see is before they taser him, they pepper sprayed him. They pepper sprayed him, then they tasered him. 22 days later, that poor old man died. He died. Now, whether or not it was connected to his heart, his ageing heart getting quite a jolt, I don't know. But these 2 coppers were charged criminally with assault. Actual bodily harm, and this week they were in court and they were acquitted. They were found not guilty because they did it in the line of duty. The police disciplinary system here in Britain is now going to put them on trial again for gross misconduct with a view to firing them. Now, I don't usually like calling for people to be sacked, but those 2 coppers are not fit to wear the badge. You shouldn't do that to a 92-year-old man. Quite extraordinary, Samara.
I mean, look at what happened with this whole BLM thing where they filmed a cop doing something egregious to another human and then people were rioting on the streets. I mean, I'm unsure why they were even let off for this. Like, when you see that video footage, there is no one that we have shown that to that has not gasped in horror. And you said it on your show last night. It's these cops that are too by the book. It's just box ticking. It's like, okay, he hasn't given me the knife. They don't check if it's a butter knife or a zombie knife or a machete. And they just say, okay, it's been 1 minute and a half.
They can see it's not a zombie knife. They can see it's not. It's that big.
It's like, it registers as knife.
Samara's right. Samara's right. They're going, the book will say, ask for the knife, tell them to give up the knife, and if they don't, warn them that you're going to taser them. But the point is, the problem I have with this, apart from the fact it's a kind of brutality on a poor old guy who's 92, is there's no common sense. Where is the common sense
And
here?
also, I mean, it's absolute horrendous, shocking footage. It also has to be reasonable in the circumstances. When you say playing it by the book and all sorts of illegal things, we need to put these things into context. Based on that video, however, I find it extraordinary that further measures are not taken. It is absolutely appalling. I don't see how that's playing by the book, because as you rightly say, what's the threat to them? We should look at that, and they should absolutely make sure nothing like that ever happens again.
They're going through, they will now be sort of put on trial again by the police disciplinary, the Complaints Commission, and they're on for gross misconduct, and I think they'll probably be found guilty of that and be sacked, and they deserved it.
Well, what they need to do, though, as well, they need to come out very, very quickly and say, this is what the rules are. You're talking about the textbook.
Well, they know what the rules are. They followed them
I don't believe they followed the rules.
They followed them like automatons.
Right.
Here's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Here's what anyone would have done. Here's what a little old lady would have done. I'd have walked over to Donald, that was his name, and said, Donald, give me the knife, you silly old sod. And then just taking it from him. It's just ridiculous, And the worst thing, as I say, 22 days after that shocking incident, that poor old man died. I'd be very interested to hear what you think in America and around the world about that, because you know, we all know about police brutality, Rodney King, George Floyd, but this is a different kind of case. This was an insane lack of common sense. Let's move on now. Domestic violence, that's a big problem, isn't it? And sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes a wife will attack her husband, as in the case of Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron. Here is the president of France arriving in Hanoi in Vietnam with his wife. Oh, look, there he goes. A right-hander. She socks him one, as everyone can see. And then they go down the stairs there. And he tried to sort of paint over the situation by sort of grabbing her hand. And she goes like that. And the French... Look at that. Look at that.
As Candace Owens said, boys will be boys.
Boys will... It's a bit... Yeah, but it wasn't a... But yeah.
It wasn't a... Yes.
I see what you mean. I mean, for a woman, she packs a hell of a punch. I wonder where she got that power from.
Well, usually a woman will do a slap across the face.
Yeah.
Not
a
sort
of
shove
a push,
like that.
wasn't it? It was sort of like...
It was awful.
It was kind of a push like that, wasn't it? But he reeled back. And then the French authorities, amateur hour, they tried to pretend it was fake news, that it was AI.
Russian bots.
Russian bots.
Yes.
And then they had to say, but about 3,000 people were actually watching it live as it happened. All right then. Well, you know, they were just playfully having fun.
No, that's...
That wasn't
now,
fun.
that marriage, this means there are more questions about that marriage.
Without a doubt.
She is 72.
Yes.
He's 47.
Yes.
Bit of an age gap.
Yes.
When did they meet? When he was a 15-year-old pupil at a North French school, and she was his 40-year-old drama teacher.
Yes.
She starts banging him and leaves her husband for this 15-year-old pupil who later on became the president of France. Now, in France, they go...
It's compulsory almost.
Why do they do that in France? No other people in the world go... They're always doing that anyway. So we say, you're president, and that was a bit of a weird relation. Well, it is weird. And of course, Samara, there have been suggestions that Brigitte Macron may not be all that she seems.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a man. He's one of the most powerful people in the world.
Who, Brigitte Macron? No, you're supposed to address what I said about
Yes, you're
Brigitte
supposed to.
Macron, not Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah, exactly.
There
I
are
was
rumours
getting to it.
Okay,
Well,
all right, okay.
It was also...
I was getting to it.
You were getting to it very deep. It was also, however, the subject of a defamation action, which she won against two people who said that she was a bloke. And that was the thing. It was a defamation action in France.
Yeah, but she hasn't sued Candace Owen, the
it's going to be interesting to see what happens
commentator
there.
in America, who basically made a YouTube series about it.
Yes.
Yeah, becoming Brigitte.
Becoming Brigitte. So the story is that she took on the identity of her brother or something like that. She was a brother, and then she became a woman. Now, of course, as you say, Andrew, she vehemently denies this. So does Macron, and she sued twice successfully in America, in France. But Candace Owen, who has a huge audience, she put it out there. She hasn't been sued.
I think there's going to be more writs this week, and all the leaks that you spoke about earlier, the people are being sued, they're suing assistants and so on and so forth. All of that's going to come out. And the same way Meghan had a miss this week, the Macrons obviously had a hit. But we need to look at that sort of stuff. It also spurred a whole load of wonderful viral videos, if you look at the sort of take on that sort of stuff.
Memes.
Yeah, I mean, don't sell us this love story, and then we see the reality when we see this video. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, let's just say, about that very nefarious relationship, and we're not falling for it.
Is domestic violence illegal in Vietnam? I imagine it is. If so, why was Brigitte Macron not arrested?
Yes.
I want to know. But there's something weird about that marriage. Let's go to a bad ad.
Don't you really want to know?
Okay, I was wondering who the father of my baby was.
All right, let's take a look. The Miss Cleo DNA test. I'm solely searching for the father of your baby. Oh, it's the one that's very unpleasant, okay?
Okay.
And he's also the one that had another girlfriend while he was sleeping with you.
Yes, he did.
Yep, that's him. That's the daddy. Call me now for your free tarot reading.
Call 1-800-980-8637.
You can't fool Miss Cleo.
Wow.
She can fool you.
Yes.
Tarot, no! Let's go to break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back. This is part 4 of What Just Happened. Time goes so fast when you're enjoying yourself, and this bit I really enjoy. This is the complaints department where we go through some of the many messages, the thousands of messages you're kind enough to send in with your admirable comments. First up, what have you got, Andrew?
Fowley.
Fowley?
Fowley.
Fowley.
7456.
Lovely name,
Fowley.
Fowley.
Well, talking of which, I'm sure Samara is a very nice woman, but I wonder why...
She's not.
I wonder why, however, she needs to dress so inappropriately.
Yeah, we're really disappointed because this week Samara hasn't dressed inappropriately. You've got to get back to form, Samara.
Sorry.
What's going on?
Well, Linda Emery has said, Kevin, you are brilliant. You make me laugh without fail. Next job for you, Prime Minister. Sort the woke crap out.
Yeah, actually, it's only a matter of time. Thank you very much. Very nice of you to say so. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm brilliant. Yeah. Next up, Andy.
Big Meat 80008 says Samara is definitely easy on the eyes.
Ooh. Yeah, well, that'll be a reference to her outfit last week. Last week when Samara was, she was somewhat low cut. We had a record audience. 50 million people watched the show. It's extraordinary. She's getting sacked now because she didn't do it again. Yeah, come on then.
Tread Lightly has said, I love your show, Kevin. Highlight of my Saturday mornings.
There you go.
Well, where was that? Was who again?
Tread Lightly.
Tread Lightly. And where's Tread from, does it say?
No, it doesn't.
Tread. Okay, Tread. Good to hear from you. Keep tuning in. Tell all your friends. Go on, Andrew.
Elizabeth Compton 738. Okay, I'll say it. Kevin, you're brilliant. Samara is beautiful, and I love her expressions when she's reacting to something. Andrew, you're hilarious when you're showing off your magic skills. But for Kevin's sake, Kevin, you're brilliant. Signed, a Western gal from Arizona, USA.
What have you got next, Samara?
Lexi Mish says, I look forward to every show, Samara. I love you on The Sun with Matt Wilkinson and also your Instagram. My mother loved you too because she's never seen you before. She's a high society person and old school. She can't stand Kevin leaving the second button of his shirt undone. I really hope this does get read aloud because I really can't wait to see what Kevin says about it. That's from Lexi.
Oh, thank you, Lexi. Thank you. Regards to your mum.
Yeah, Kev's almost as bad as me with the cleavage.
I said, let's have a look at that. There you go. No, I don't like it. But, you know, point taken. Go on, Andrew.
I love this show, Kevin, but do you and Samara have to shout so much? You give me a headache and it puts me off watching. I know you're probably going to say, well, switch off then, but I want to enjoy it. Thanks for listening. And P.S. I love Andrew.
And who's that from?
This is from somebody called Linda Rolfe E6G.
Linda Rolfe, well, stop shouting. Sorry about that. We'll keep the volume down from now on. That's a promise. Samara.
Okay. Forest Nymph says...
Forest Nymph.
Forest Nymph. Forest
Run,
Nymph.
Forest Nymph, run.
Says, did Samara get a boob job?
There you go. Well, there's 2 points.
Well, if you'd have asked us that question last week, we could have made an educated guess.
Yes.
But this week, we just don't know.
Yeah, there's just no way of testing that. So, yeah.
Well, there could be if you reran that outfit. Go on, then. You're going to have to do this again soon.
Chuck, why did
there are no depths to which we won't sink to improve our ratings. Go on, Andrew.
So Gwen Laffer says they have no kids. We all know that. Fake kids. That is why she didn't have a child in the Royal Hospital.
Who said that?
This is from Gwen Laffer.
Well, Gwen, a good point well made. As you know, it is the policy of this show that Harry and Meghan don't actually have children. That's our policy. So thank you for agreeing with it. Next up, Samara.
Frank says, Samara's so beautiful. And then Sanctuary says, shame about the voice. Yeah, that's, that's quite... Thank you.
Do you remember that used to be that...
like what my partner says.
Yeah, I mean, the way times change. Remember that Chaz and Dave song?
Oh, yes.
Was it Nice Legs, Shame About the Face?
That's right.
I mean, you wouldn't make that song anymore. And I wonder who it was to.
Rabbit, 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 wasn't it? As
Wouldn't
well,
have been you, Samara. Wouldn't have been you, Samara.
Don't have
You've
great
got a
legs.
lovely face.
Okay.
Terrible legs, though. That's a joke. That's a joke. Next up.
Shelley Belly 35 says Kev's monologue is mocking sarcasm, lol. So he's not saying she was a stunning American star.
So, no, often my tongue is firmly in my cheek in my monologues. There is a lot of sarcasm and sardonic comment in them. Lots of alliteration as well.
And we love it. An avalanche of alliteration.
Who's doing the next one? It's you, Samara?
Mr. Toad has said, Kevin, they do make diapers with little pants that hold them in place for older dogs. It's better than living in a dog toilet or replacing the flooring.
Well, it's interesting because I was talking about my poor old dog.
Yeah,
With
your carpets.
And he's keeping us up literally every night. I mean, for hours and hours and hours. But, you know, you have to put up with it. It's your dog. We still love him, but he's a bit difficult these days. Andrew.
Penn Dennis, 1, 2, 3, obviously an anagram. Kev sounds like he's about to have a heart attack. I shouldn't bother with breathless or breastless O-level English monologues if I were her.
Breastless.
I think he's referring to the Alfred game.
Samara last week was not breastless. And as for my heart attack, well, it's coming probably sooner than I think. I've got one more, Samara.
Genra Bubble says, I really like your card trick. Your card trick side man, Kevin.
Oh, that's Andrew Angle. Yeah.
I don't know about his name.
Name recognition.
Yeah,
your
thanks.
card trick side man.
I don't really know his name, but he's very nice and he's a great addition to your program.
He is. And he'll be back with another trick next week. Time now for a bad ad.
Cotton candy.
Sample.
Opal mist.
Mysterious.
Lee press-on nails. 18 great nail colors you just press on with undreamed-of ease. Desert mold.
Lovely.
Fiesta.
Lively.
Sugar plum.
Luscious.
40 Lee adhesive tabs and 20 Lee press-on nails for a perfect fit. Lee press-on nails. 18 sensational fashion colors. Press on.
They just press them on. I got this kind of image of women walking down the street, down the sidewalk with all their nails falling off. Wish we had some glue for this stuff. That is it for another sensational episode of What Just Happened. Big thank you to the man in the dinner jacket, Andrew Eborn, and the woman who is Covered up this week, very specially, but she'll be back next week in all her glory, Samara Gill. I've been Kevin O'Sullivan. You've been an incredible audience, and we're going to do it all again. Same time, same place, right here next week. Be there.